two, one. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Got a mess on our hands of sorts. Both sides of the aisle are putting out fires within their own party, issues happening within the party. On both sides of the aisle, there are fires to be put out that are not necessarily helping neither Trump nor Biden in terms of their campaign hopes for 2024. So we're going to talk about a couple of them. Obviously, the name or the title to the live today is Biden failing us at the border. We're going to be starting out right away. There is a video, El Paso, Texas, a host of migrants, around 300 migrants, swarmed Border Patrol at the border in El Paso. Folks argue sometimes, why are you calling them illegals? Why are you calling them undocumented? Yeah! Novocaine, thank you for the hat mustache that started out right. Happy Friday to you. I appreciate that. Folks are often suggesting that you can't, you can't say illegal alien. It's called an undocumented immigrant. Well, what happened at the border in El Paso undoubtedly were illegal immigrants. There's no need to apologize for the phrase. There's no need to call it anything else. We're talking nearly 300 migrants, illegal immigrants. Let me get it right. Let me call it what it is. Illegal immigrants swarmed Border Patrol in El Paso, Texas. Now, they were rounded up, taken into custody. 100 of them allegedly were males, young males. So we're going to be asking the question right off the bat. And I see in the comments, UVEX66 says seeking asylum isn't illegal. Damn it, when you're cutting barbed wire, when you're swarming Border Patrol, taking off running, you are coming in here illegally. They didn't come here and claim asylum in an organized manner, in a friendly, professional manner. You don't get to cut the property of the United States. I'm talking about barbed wire. You don't get to destroy property and then say, well, I'm claiming asylum, I'm not here illegally. You've already committed a crime before the asylum part gets there, before you even get to it. These folks are illegal immigrants. No matter what the hell you want to call them, this individual group, we can talk about the other millions of them that has come under the Biden administration, and we can certainly discuss what the hell they should be named. But this group that swarmed Border Patrol in El Paso, 300 of them, cutting the barbed wire, how can you call them anything else but illegal? Even if you're coming here to plead asylum, which is not illegal, you can't damage property to get into the damn country. How do you not call that an illegal entry? If that is not an illegal entry, damn it, what is? You're literally damaging property to get into the country. And the idea is that, well, they're not illegal. No, you're illegal at that point. Now you've committed a crime before committing the crime of illegal entry. So we're asking right off the bat, is Biden failing us at the border? Why the hell is this happening to this degree under President Biden? Is there anything he can do personally? We're talking executive action. Or does he get to blame the Republicans and Democrats for the congressional bill failing? My point of view is no, you got to do some executive shit. You can't sit back on this, but I want to hear from you folks because I admit I don't have all the damn answers. So we want to hear from you folks on the program. Do you believe Biden is failing us at the border? That's going to be the number one topic, but also, we're talking about issues on both sides of the aisle. The border mess is obviously Biden's to discuss. But we're also going to talk about the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG, is in the news today for calling for the ouster of Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Actually calling for, now remember he just replaced Kevin McCarthy only towards the end of last year. So now she's calling for this guy. to be, these are Republicans cannibalizing on other Republicans. What we're going to be asking them in regards to this is, are the Republicans in a mindset of our way or no way at all? Because Marjorie Taylor Greene is pissed off that he worked with the Democrats to get a bipartisan bill passed. She's really angry that he worked with the Democrats, even calling Mike Johnson an extension of the Democratic Party. So she's essentially calling Mike Johnson a rhino at this point. What the hell? When did he become a rhino? So we're going to be talking about both of those issues today. You know the program is ran Maga friendly. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. Program is Maga friendly, always will be that way. Big Bird. Damn. Thank you, Big Bird, for the support star. Now, happy Friday to you and everyone else. Wow, thank you. Haven't seen that one before. So going straight to the comments. And by the way, tap the screen, get your boy on up to 10,000. We got almost 600 of you in here. Should be a hell of a interesting program today because we got both sides involved in some pretty wild stuff. So the GOP is following the orders of their god, Trump. Yikes. Real quick, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she had a press conference stating why she believed, those are cute, Tammy, thank you, got me all bunnied up. We talk about snow bunnies on a different conversation, but the press conference that Marjorie Taylor Greene had, Big Bird making it rain, she stated when asked by reporters about her wanting to out Mike Johnson, that she had not talked to Trump about this. She was asked, because she's up there saying that Mike Johnson is not trying to implement the policies and the direction of this country that Trump wants. Marjorie Taylor Greene used Trump's name as a reason why she called for the ouster of Mike Johnson. But when asked by reporters during the press conference, did you talk to Trump? Is he what inspired you to do this? She said, no, I had not talked to Trump at all. So I want to ask you folks, do you believe that's true? Do you believe Marjorie Taylor Greene decided on her own, without any communication with the one and only Donald Trump, to ouster the Speaker of the House without asking Trump how he felt about it? Because obviously this is chaos again in the Republican Party. We know how long it took to replace Kevin McCarthy, how long it took to get the votes and all of that shit when Matt Gaetz was doing it. Did not speak to President Trump. What say you? So we're going to go to the box right off the bat. Real quick in the comments, John Humber says, I do not know why all the Democrats hate Donald Trump. I don't understand it. Yeah, you do. Anytime you're using phrases like fuck your feelings, you're not talking to Republicans. You don't see that as a statement of love, do you? When you're at a Trump rally and this big sign says fuck your feelings, who do you think they're talking to? You think they're speaking to MAGA? So are you expecting someone to see that sign that says, damn, that person loves me? He said, fuck my feelings. My mom has never said something so endearing to me. I feel great now. How could you not understand that? Looking in the comments, I've never heard of that before. Going straight to the box, Mishi for change. Good afternoon, Mishi. How you doing?
Good. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing really good. Saw you on live the other day.
Yeah, I'm back once in a while doing some lives.
Appreciate it. Good to see you on.
You should come on, join me.
I can do that. Vanessa, thank you for the hat and mustache. So what do you think? Is Biden failing us at the border? 300 migrants. Reportedly, 100 of them were adult males. What's going on?
Okay, well, a couple things. So, no, I mean, it's the entire Congress that would be failing us because Biden can only do so many executive orders. He can't close the border. Trump tried to with an executive order and it was shot down because it is not an executive power.
Okay.
And in fact,
Biden
has done...
You said he can only do so many executive orders. Has he done any in defense of
535 on immigration.
Okay. In regards to stopping the migration, he's done 530 plus orders?
535 immigrant actions over his first 3 years. Trump did 472.
Okay, and they're all failing to this degree. 10 million allegedly came in under Biden.
Yeah, he tried to do an asylum ban, and it got overturned by the courts because we have a system, right? Our laws, our asylum laws, which is what it needs to be changed for any of this to happen, allows people to get to the border. They don't have to come in through a port of entry. As long as they've got 2 feet on the ground, they're allowed to seek asylum. Then they have to prove they're in danger, blah, blah, blah. What happened in those 100 men trying to break in through the fence? I don't agree with that.
Yeah. So
that's not right.
The ones that broke in through the fence, do you believe they should be in custody?
Yeah.
Okay. You do believe they should be referred to as illegals?
I think I don't like calling people illegal. I truly believe that maybe their actions are illegal, right? But a person is not illegal. And I understand why people say that now, right? I don't think there's bad kids. I think there's kids who do bad things.
Criminals. How about that?
If it's a criminal act that they did,
Mishi, they cut the fence to get in.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't destroy property to gain interest, can you?
So they need to be looked at one by one, why they're here, and then they should be sent back, which most of them will. There's been 8 million people who tried to come into our country, and we've only allowed about 2.5 million in. Okay. So that means the rest of them have been deported under a Joe Biden administration. That is a lot of people who've been sent back.
Why doesn't he get that message out? Why don't there are people who believe that everybody that's come in the country has been allowed to stay? Why is the messaging so poor?
It is really bad. Democrats are poor at messaging. That's what I've learned as an ex-Republican, is that they're poor at messaging.
Now you're not just for the audience, because they're not necessarily familiar with you. You're not just Republican. You are formerly MAGA.
Not MAGA. I had a hat.
Okay, you were at the rallies?
I supported Trump in 16 and 20. That's correct.
Okay.
But the problem is Joe Biden is not responsible for what those 100 men did, as much as Trump wasn't responsible for those who burned down town halls during the BLM protests. You cannot blame the president for the actions of individuals. So I will not blame Joe Biden for that, because he's not responsible for those 100 men, as Trump wasn't responsible for the people that did ill during those George Floyd protests.
Yeah. So let me ask you, is it possible that folks seeking entry into America see Biden as softer on immigration than Trump and are thinking now is our chance to do this? Do you think this same issue, 100 folks swelling the border, overwhelming border agents, you think that would have happened under Trump?
Absolutely. And the reason why we would have had people coming is because we had a global pandemic. If you think that people here are suffering a result of that global pandemic, imagine areas that were extremely impoverished. And if you see what's happening in those countries, you have takeovers from gangs, etc. And so, yes, there are more people seeking a better life and opportunities here in the United States of America. The Remain in Mexico policy also led to a backup. COVID led to a backup. So yes, we were going to get overwhelmed. But Donald Trump can't by executive order, he tried, and Biden can't by executive order close the border. We had a real opportunity with the Congress to actually make a difference. And here's the problem. If they're going to continue to say it's a siege and an invasion, it's the worst thing that's happened to our country, why wouldn't they take something instead of nothing? If it's that bad, take something that's going to make it better, and wait till you put your king in and he can make it the way you want it. But in the interim, you have to do something if it's that bad. But no, it's partisan, and they can't give Biden a win.
But here's what I don't get, Mishi. Folks are suggesting, just like you, that Biden can only do so much because if he goes overboard, he'll be challenged and likely defeated in the courts. Do you really believe a 6-3 Republican Supreme Court majority would stop Biden from implementing a tough border policy?
Well, it doesn't always make it up to the Supreme Court. So he tried to implement Biden's asylum ban. People can look that up. And what he wanted was people to have to make an appointment to see if they qualified for asylum before coming to the border. Right? That's what he wanted to implement, that people were vetted even before they made the journey, which I think makes a lot of sense. It doesn't put people at high risk, etc. You don't have people flooding the border like you saw with those 100 men, because they would have had to have an appointment. but that was banned, that was overturned by the courts because, again, our asylum laws, which Trump didn't change and Biden can't change, says all you have to do is get here and get your feet on the ground. It does not have to be through a port of entry. So he's in a tough situation. If it's bad, let's do something about it. And maybe the Republicans should stop saying that the border's open.
Yeah.
Because that sure in hell isn't helping.
So in your opinion, if Biden tried to pose executive action under the guise of, we got, millions of folks here that have not been vetted, and until we get things straight, we're going to temporarily, stop taking folks in the country under the asylum. You're telling me that would get shot now?
If he did what temporarily, we're not going to take more than 5,000 people?
No, zero. Yeah.
We can't because of our asylum laws. Yes, it would be shot down because it has been a law that people are allowed to seek asylum. That cannot be overturned by a president.
What if he dropped it down to, say, 100 a day?
It doesn't matter what the number is. We have a law that allows people to seek asylum. That would have to be challenged first. The law would have to be changed. The asylum laws would have to be changed before you would be allowed to do that.
And so you're saying with the amount of folks coming in, literally millions over a span of a short time, coming in
2.5 million over almost 4 years.
Yeah, with that,
not 8 to 10 million.
Okay,
not 8 to 10 million.
Well, I don't know who's taking count because they're coming in everywhere they want to come in. We're estimating at best, but going with your numbers. If Biden stepped up and said, because we don't know who's here, it could be, and I'm going to give you the worst case example, not saying I buy into this, but just giving it to you. There could be terrorist cells, there could be enemies of this country that have come in unvetted. Until right now we want to take a moment to figure this out. We want to reduce asylum. Who do you think's going to shoot that down? Who in this country would say, no, we don't need that?
Well, all that has to pass through the House, right? This isn't something that he can do on his own. If they agree to it, that we're going to do an emergency situation where we don't allow more than 5,000 people a day, then that can be voted upon. And that was one of the things that was trying to be voted upon, that they said no. So if it's important, they should take something instead of nothing. But it's just a way for them to try to scare suburban women into voting for them. Well, and let's just make one more thing very clear.
Sure.
That we already have terrorists that live here, okay? They're called the Proud Boys and 3%ers.
Homegrown.
Criminals that live here.
Yeah.
Undocumented migrants, anything you want to call them, commit crimes per capita, which is per 100,000 people for the people that don't know. So it's equal. Commit crimes at 50% less rate than actually natural born citizens. So if you want to look at the stats, they're not coming in here and are any more of a danger than the people we have here. In fact, they're less of a danger.
Yeah, I would agree with you that as a whole, the average immigrant is not coming here to do harm to the country. But when you look at what took place on some of the darkest days in our history, like September 11th, for instance, you don't need but a few people. I mean, America hands out guns to damn near anybody who wants to get one. It's not hard to get a gun in this country. So if you sent 20 to 50 people in this country, they can easily get the armaments they need once they're here because they're so damn easy to get. We could easily have a, October 7th in Israel type event take place in some small city. I mean, because it's not hard to get the firearms to do it once you get here.
That's true. And, 9/11, let's be real, they came in through the northern border on planes.
Yeah.
Legally.
Yeah. I guess the only, and I don't necessarily disagree with you as a whole. I think the only issue I have is the notion that if Biden passed a really tough executive action on the border, it would fail in the courts, as you said. I don't know who would challenge him. I mean,
He can't. The ACLU, there are organizations that fight hard against that and the protection of migrants. I'm not going to sit there and say, as a new Democrat, that I don't think that there are things that we need to address at the border. We absolutely have things we need to address at the border, and that's been through Bush and Clinton and Obama. This isn't new, people, okay? They've been saying they're going to fix the border for decades, and nobody has done it, including Donald Trump. So at this point, we need to get more agents there. And by the way, Biden's been begging for more agents at the border, and the Republicans keep refusing because they own the House.
Yeah, I guess here's the issue I keep saying over and over again. If Biden does this by executive action, and let's say you're correct and gets shot down, at least he now has solid evidence that he tried it. I mean, to sit back and say, I can't do this because they're going to.
He did, though. He tried. He tried to do an asylum ban. He tried. It was shot down. He's asked for more agents. It was shot down. He certainly has tried. And let's just talk about that. We're going to talk about the 100 people that tried to force their way into the United States onto federal land. Let's talk about the thousands that forced their way into the Capitol.
I didn't expect you to hit that hard, girl. Okay.
Okay, right?
Yeah, that ain't okay. No, that's not okay. All right, I'll go ahead and hand you the W through the screen. I do got to move it on, Mishi.
Of course.
Good to have you on. Real good to have you on.
Always good to see you, my friend.
You too as well. Wow, that was an interesting comeback. Okay, looking in the box. That shit on January 6th always makes for a savvy comeback. Looking in the comments, ma'am, what do you know? I wanted to read that. What do you know about a third world country? I don't get that comment. Trump 2024 says, Yeja, I cannot pronounce your name. Thank you for the super chat on YouTube, by the way. I don't know what the pronunciation of the name was. Real quick, Israel did what they had to do as well. If they didn't continue retaliation, it would be worse. They needed to show strength. Continue retaliation, it would be worse. They needed to show strength. Chris DeGotten, very kind in regards to the super chat. Absolute thanks. The issue with Israel is there is a thing known as going overboard. Israel is not acting in self-defense at this point. I get your point. What happened on October 7th was insane, and folks are going to be calling for blood. How we felt on September 12th in this country, we wanted ass to be kicked. I mean, the military enrollment swole up and everything. We wanted ass to be kicked. But you can go overboard. America in Iraq and Afghanistan claiming bin Laden has something to do with all of that. We went overboard ourselves. What Israel is doing in Gaza at this point is going overboard. They're not acting in self-defense anymore. They are acting in a punitive manner up to and including, some might argue, genocide. You know, we're tired of constantly having to deal with these people. Let's just get rid of them. Let's just get rid of the whole lot. It seems more close to that which is taking place than an act of self-defense at this point. They're not. They're in Gaza. Any type of chaos or conflict, they're in Gaza. There's nobody in Israel getting struck by these people. So yeah, it's beyond self-defense. It's punitive. People over there hate each other still to this day. True. I don't disagree with that. After what we did because of 9/11. What Israel is doing is our fault. No, it's not. Nobody can make you take up arms against unarmed people and kill them. You can't blame what Israel is doing on America. Israel, by the way, the current president in this country is telling Israel to stop, telling Israel to cease fire. We've told Netanyahu any more continued incursions would be a great mistake. He's going above and beyond. We've given red lines, he's won over those. So no, it ain't America's fault what Israel's doing. What Israel's doing is at the hands of Benjamin Netanyahu. Going back to the box, in addition to the issue of Biden at the border, we also want to ask is, Marjorie Taylor Greene, is what she doing good or bad for the Republican Party? Trying to literally get rid of a second speaker within the span of a year. Less than around 6 months? How long has it been since Kevin McCarthy got ousted? Now she's going after Mike Johnson. Progressive, good afternoon.
So I was going to talk on the border, then I'll talk about MTG and the whole.
The floor is yours.
Floating. Okay, so I lived in El Paso. I was stationed at Fort Bliss, and I actually know some undocumented people. And the big reason why they were coming over here during Trump's administration is because Republicans were going down there and getting surrogates to tell them that, hey, he's going to build a wall, so you better hurry up and come up here before it's too late. And they're doing the same thing. Hey, we have open borders here. Come before it's too late. Because when Trump comes in office, he's going to put another border wall.
Let me just say this, and you could listen. And thank you for your service, by the way. I've been in El Paso, but I'm not going to dispute anything you said. You got more experience in the region. But one of the issues I believe that immigrants need to understand: if Trump is reelected, their lives are in danger. The dislike, the hatred towards those who are in our country undocumented, illegally, whatever you want to call it at this point. Trump has already promised the largest deportation in history. After calling them invaders, they're poisoning the blood of this country, all of these awful names, rapists and murderers. Once that is implemented, the largest deportation in history, if anything violent happens to them, hey, you're here illegally to begin with. They need to understand that if you're coming and Trump gets elected, you need to find a way back out on your own before somebody grabs you. Do you see any issue with President Trump getting reelected, as I just stated, if they're still here?
Oh, yeah, several. So if somebody, like I live in Texas still, I'm in another part of the country, or in another part of the state. But what they're trying to do here already is basically a cop can pull over, racially profile somebody and say, you're a brown guy, you don't look like you belong here, your English is off a little bit.
Wow.
Let's send you back to Mexico.
Yeah.
So my wife is Hispanic. They came over here legally. Their whole family came over here legally.
Have they been profiled?
Yeah, of course.
Now, where are you? What part of the country? You said you were stationed in El Paso. Are you anywhere near that border now? Is your family still near that border?
My wife's family is, yes,
yeah.
And we frequent there often. So, and there are all kinds of things coming up from their relatives that live in Juarez. So,
yeah, that's right across from Ciudad Juarez. That's right across from El Paso, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and when you mention profiling brown folks, I've brought that up on the show before that Sheriff Joe Arpaio, the controversial sheriff down there in Arizona for some years, the one that was also buying into Obama being born in Kenya and things like that, he was ordering his deputies to do exactly what you're saying, stop and frisk brown folks and make sure they had a right to be here. And he had got arrested for it and was about to be sentenced to prison. And Trump pardoned him for doing exactly that. So I would agree with you that if Trump gets elected, pardon, or better yet, stopping and frisking brown folks to prove they're here, that could be the order of the day.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what the whole goal is, because the Overton window has shifted way far to the right when Trump came in office, and now you have people saying, oh, well, there's 2 unalivings at the border. Somebody got maimed. Who cares? We don't care. Okay. That's when you know that people are slipping too far.
Okay, looks like we're going to probably have to, for you folks on YouTube, that I guess our conversation was a bit much for TikTok. I will appeal it. Most likely there are folks that are not liking the terminology we use and things like that. There are certain topics that creates this, where individuals report the live and things, which is why I'm also starting up more on YouTube, because you don't have to deal with this as much. They claim it's violation, reason, misinformation. So I will send in an appeal. Oftentimes, the appeal can be won while we're still discussing. So we'll give it a few minutes, see if it goes through. And while we're waiting on that to happen, I will look at you guys on YouTube. We'll see what happens. But it happens all the time. Folks tend to hate on controversial topics like the LGBT issues, vaccines is another one. And obviously calling folks undocumented versus illegal immigrants pisses off some folks. So it does happen. So looking in the comments here on YouTube, you just died on TikTok. Yeah, somebody apparently didn't like what we were saying. When is Tim gonna finally get a StreamYard account for you? I don't know what a StreamYard account is. What happened to TikTok? Somebody, it is. We appealed it. We'll see. Look at what they do to the black guy. Look at what they do to the black guy on the subway. Body do the black guy on the subway. Body only do the. You're typing the same thing over and over again so many times. I don't get the point. It was so bad with illegals in Arizona. My brother had to move back to Virginia, only to find out Virginia and Maryland have been overrun with illegals as well. Wow. I don't know. Listen, I do believe Trump would be more effective in getting the illegal immigrants out of this country, undocumented. The asylum seekers, most of them probably would not be granted asylum under President Trump. They're not likely to mostly be granted under Biden either, but I believe under Trump it would damn near be zero. What I am more concerned with is the deportation process. There is no denying you're going to get a hell of a lot of these folks out of here under Trump compared to Biden. No denying. Trump's going to be considerably more effective at getting immigrants out of this country than Biden, who is more favorable to letting probably a lot of them stay. My concern is how it will be done. I do believe that if you have President Trump in office, with the language he has used, the way he refers to immigrants, that it will be open season on the removal of these people. Who would care or give a damn what happened to a vermin or someone that was poisoning the blood of the nation
Is paid.
or a rapist or a murderer? Who would care if something happened to him? So if Trump implements the largest deportation in U.S. history, and through the deportation process, folks lose their lives and things like that, I believe the sentiment will be they wouldn't have been killed if they didn't come here illegally. You know, maybe they should have thought about how dangerous it'll be before they came in. I don't think nobody would care. I don't believe no one in the Trump administration would care if immigrants perished in the deportation process, which essentially opens the door to committing violent acts against them. If you know the government isn't really concerned with what happens, then you kind of have a right to open season. And I do believe that is what's likely to happen if Trump is reelected. I'm not saying that we don't need to get the border under control. I believe Biden is not doing a good job with the border. But I don't want the folks that have come in here illegally to essentially be treated like animals dragged to the slaughter. But with the terminology he's using, why would you not expect that to be a possibility? What I'm going to do, because it's taken a moment for the appeal went through. Okay, I was about to go to the backup account, but we'll continue to live on TikTok. For those folks that have come over from TikTok, understand TikTok is now back up, and we're also simultaneously live on that. We give folks that report the live. It's not the TikTok gods taking it out. TikTok actually acts on an air of caution as opposed to really doing an investigation. So they sometimes will take shit down just because somebody's saying something. It's kind of like with this book ban that's happening in places like Florida and some of these southern states. One person complains, I don't like this book, and they take the whole damn book out of the school. TikTok is having the same thing, but I believe on TikTok, the votes complaining are mostly on the left, but in the book category, it's mostly on the right. Going back to the box, Pat Carlson, good afternoon. Why do people report damn babies? I agree, certainly agree, LA. Good afternoon, Pat. Pat, are you there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I am. Give me 1 second to kill the noise, because I know that I've got noise.
You're actually pretty good.
Oh, okay. I want to be kind of quick with this.
Sure.
Here's my deal with the border. I believe that both sides have been ignoring it. My idea is the president, and I don't care what president, ought to do an executive order that just stockpiles a ton of judges that work round the clock, day and night. You know, three shifts shifts of judges, and then people are going to hate me for what I'm about to say, but they should have a humane concentration camp where these people come over, they are given 30 to 60 days to prove their asylum case. If they can't prove it, out they go.
Well, then, how do you respond to folks coming from places like Venezuela where there's no way to vet them or do a background check?
There has to be some way, because we can't constantly be letting these people in here, giving them, saying, hey, you got a court date, and then just letting them go anywhere in the country and not being able to find them. That's why I say a humane concentration camp. I hate to use the word concentration camp, but, someplace right there, and then go through the process. I understand that there may be some that it takes longer to go through the process, but for the most part, when people are coming over for asylum, they should already have most of the documentation that they need to go for asylum.
Yeah, but you got to think, Pat, we're talking millions of folks have come here. What camp is going to be big enough you're talking, you could take Shea Stadium and not fit all the people in. How big would this place be?
You'd have to have more than one, because you've got more than one border crossing.
Right.
But basically, at your border crossings.
Hold on. Hang on 1 second. I asked, where can we have it? Somebody said Mar-a-Lago. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Right now, they're coming into this country. They're given, money. They're given food stamps. They're given, all this stuff. Instead of giving them all this stuff, use that money to basically feed them, house them, whatever, in this concentration camp, per se. Like I said, a humane, not like Hitler's concentration camp or anything like that, but a humane place. That way, they go through the system and you know where they are. Because right now, the way it is, they come across the border, they're given a court date, they leave, and most of them don't even come back for court.
But what about the phrase, not in my backyard? Because what you're talking about is going to get the same mindset of, I don't want a prison in my neighborhood. What about, where are you going to put this at? Nobody's going to want it in their county.
I hate to say this, but we've got lots of desert lands, lands that are just aren't being used for farming, aren't being used to build houses. Do something there. There's got to be a solution. But other than just, letting them come in, giving them a court date, and sending them loose. There's not enough judges. That's why I said a presidential order to pack these courts with round-the-clock judges. That way, the judges are going round-the-clock. Not the same judge all day long. 3 shifts of judges to where these people are being taken care of and vented within 30 to 60 days. If they can't,
and I have to
asylum-seeking reason.
I have to ask the obvious.
If they're asylum-seeking reasons, then ship them back out.
Okay, but I have to ask the obvious question that's going to undoubtedly pop up with so many Americans struggling to pay their own day-to-day bills. Where is the money going to come from this? Everybody's going to be talking about the homeless and, I got debts. You're spending all this money on these people.
I understand that. But where is all this money coming from that the government has already given them? These food stamp cards, I don't know this stuff for fact, but from what I hear, the government's giving them food stamp cards. They're giving them $5,000 a month. They're giving them places to live. They're giving them all the medical that they're not giving the American citizens.
Right.
So take that money that you are giving them and you put them in a consolidated place, and you're going to decrease the amount of the cost. And while they are there, here's another way to look about it. As far as make it land that you come over here, you want to prove yourself, farm this land, help create some of the food you guys are going to be eating. I mean, it's just like I firmly believe that they ought to go back to the chain gang for prisons. I'm serious. We got people going into prisons that the American people are paying for day after day after day. They're paying to house these people for crimes that they committed. We, the people, didn't commit these crimes. They did. Therefore, and this idea of, all right, we give them a job in prison. You know, yeah, it's only a little bit of money that they're getting. They shouldn't get any money. They should be doing this. Put it this way: if they went back to the chain gangs system, you know, and they had these prisoners building roads and everything, that would cut down on the cost of infrastructure.
Yeah, but wait a minute. But it would also cut down on the labor that Americans get paid a good salary to be highway construction workers and things like that. You're going to get rid of their jobs and give them to immigrants.
Well, I mean, there is. I'm saying when I say chain gangs, it doesn't necessarily have to be. I mean, it's a prime example. I know a lot of prisons have, textile mills, and they inmates create a lot of product and everything, and they get paid to do that. They should not get paid a damn cent, not 1 cent.
Wow. All right.
They should have to do the time.
So how much time should someone get if they caught entering this country illegally?
I don't know how long the process normally takes, but if they were running around the clock, I would think that within like 60 to 90 days, they should be able to. When they come into this country, they should be having a lot of documentation before they ever hit that border. They should be able to pretty much prove their case before they ever come across the border. It's up to them to prove their case, not for the American people to prove it for them. It is for them to prove it.
All right, Pat, I do got to move it on. Pretty harsh. We'll talk about it. Come on back anytime. Now, obviously, I have a few differences with that. First of all, if you're on the run, particularly from the cartel or something like that, you're not going to be fleeing with all that paperwork on you. And there's no guarantee that the individuals you interact with won't take the paperwork off of you. So what happens if you decide to flee Venezuela or Nicaragua or somewhere down there, and you're traveling with paperwork to suggest that you and your children, I suppose, are not a harm or something like that? If you lose the paperwork, what happens? You're just out of luck. So, I mean, when you think about the process, the struggle they go through, some of them folks are on thousands of miles. They're literally trekking all the way up through Mexico, maintaining intact paperwork when you sleep in, next to a cactus or a palm tree in the middle of the night, or up against a bus for 5 or 6 months, or however long it takes to get up here. The paperwork may be gone. So that's a bit harsh. I think we would probably turn away everybody if we got that strict. But he got pretty heavy. Concentration camps and chain gangs. Yikes. Okay, going back to the box. 200 accompanied minors that this administration has lost, says Lily. I think every administration has lost some of them. Real quick in the comments on YouTube, can you imagine Biden speaking for another 4 years, says Chris. I don't know if Biden would continue to be president for another 4 years. I think Biden, listen, we're okay with Trump having a strong ego. Is it possible that maybe Biden has one too? Perhaps Biden doesn't want to be president for the next 4 years. He just wants to go out, ride off into the sunset saying, I beat Trump twice. That's all. Maybe that's all he wants to do, is have a legacy suggesting that he was the guy that beat Trump twice. And if he hands it off to Kamala Harris or another liberal, it's not going to hurt his legacy. Folks are already claiming he's a socialist and that he's destroyed America. So if he hands off the presidency to Kamala, making her the first black female vice, he's going to get a hell of a lot of applause from the liberals and probably more of the same from folks on the right. So I don't know if Biden is trying to continue speaking, as you say, for the next 4 years. Just simply beat Trump, and I'm not saying he is guaranteed to win, but I'm just simply saying, just to be able to go around a few, months and say, I beat him again, he lost, and then go down in history as the first guy to be part of the first black president, the first female black Supreme Court justice, and possibly the first female black vice president. Remember, Biden's supposed to be the racist, remember? I sure would destroy that theory, huh? Going back to the box, nobody with a brain or a family votes Democrat. So if you got a family down on your luck, maybe you're applying for food stamps, some type of housing assistance, you should vote Republican. They're the ones that are likely to help you. Okay? If you got nobody with a brain or a family should vote Democrat. I get it. Going back to the box, I appreciate you folks. The live ad got temporarily taken out, so we're back. Tap the screen. Almost 900 of you in here, so certainly tap the screen, get the likes back on up, at least around 20,000. It helps out the algorithm. You know how the program is ran. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. It's not about yours truly leading the program or even you. It's not my program. It's not your program. I consider it as our program. Free speech reigns supreme here. Whether you agree or disagree with the host or anyone on the program, nobody gives a damn. That is how the program has always been ran. What about the measles outbreak in Chicago in the migrant shelters? I am hearing about that. I mean, part of the immigration process, forced vaccinations. Right off the bat, anyone who does not want to be vaccinated, raise your hand. Once they raise their hand, put them in a van, take them to the border. You are a health risk to the United States. Thereby, your application is denied. That's my personal way I would handle that. I understand a hell of a lot of people disagree. But by my own personal, listen, the minute you say you don't want to be vaccinated, that's the least you could do. If you're suggesting that your nation is awful and America's so great, this is very little. This is not a big request. People have been getting vaccinated for the measles for generations. If you don't want to get vaccinated, put you on a white van, drive you all the way back down south. You have been considered a biological threat to this country. Therefore, your application for residency has been denied. And that's it. Be the end of that. I guarantee that'll stop anybody not wanting to get vaccinated for the measles right off the bat. Going to the box. Lily, I think it says, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Lily, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hey, so what do you think? You think Biden's handling the border properly?
Absolutely not. He's not handling the border at all. We have millions of people coming across the border every single day. There was a border surge yesterday.
Yeah.
And they are not respecting the border at all.
Yeah. So what do you think, let's say, I'm assuming you believe Trump might be a bit more effective at the border than Biden?
Well, no one is respecting the border. They're not respecting the border patrol. They're just basically running across the border. And Democrats are claiming that the border's closed. The border is wide open. They're coming across by the thousands on a daily basis. They have all these migrant shelters set up everywhere, airports, hotels. They're not being vetted.
Okay, I get your point. So why didn't the Republicans pass the border bill? It was going to do a little bit about controlling some of the problems you're mentioning.
Well, you had Trump was building the wall. You had Schumer and Nancy Pelosi that didn't want to fund the wall. They could have funded the wall.
Yeah, but hold on, hang on, Lily. I'm talking about just last month. Why didn't the Republicans?
Because the little bit of money would have done nothing. That money was going to do nothing. They wanted to fund Ukraine and they wanted to give a little bit of money to Israel the little tiny bit of money that they wanted to give the border was going to do nothing.
They were giving Border Patrol the right, if too many immigrants came, I think it was 8,000 in a day or average of 5,000 per week, they gave them the right to shut down the border without getting any permission at all. You don't see that as a benefit? That would have limited it to a max of 25,000 a week.
25,000 a week. There was 5,000 a day. There's an excess now of 25,000 at a minimum coming in per day, and they can't even control that.
Yeah, but the bill gives the Border Patrol the right to shut down the border on their own without any permission if it goes above 8,000 a day or 5,000 average for a week. And it gave them money to have more Border Patrol agents to enact that policy. How would that not help?
It wasn't going to help. It wasn't going to help because there wasn't enough. It's not enough.
Then why not try? But why not try it then?
Because it just simply wasn't enough. They're underestimating what's coming in. Like in California, you don't hear anything about the border in California. I live in California, and you don't hear not a peep about what's coming in through California. They're only really talking about Texas. You don't hear about states.
Yeah, but here's what I don't get. You're saying the bill would not have done enough. But what I'm asking you is, why not use it as a stepping stone? I mean, what harm would it have come from passing that bill? We're still sending money to the Ukraine anyway. Israel's still getting assistance. Why not at least expand the Border Patrol, even if it's not as much as you think it should be? It's at least better than what we have now. What is the harm in passing that bill?
You know, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You give a little, but they just weren't willing to do it. And different people disagree with different things. I just think that it didn't do enough. They're not taking the border seriously enough. They're not taking our national security serious enough. And even just a little bit. Our national security is more important than the national security of Israel. It's more important than national security of Ukraine. Our national security is our national security, not the national security of other countries. Our border security is our border security. We have an excess of what they're saying 22 million. It's probably closer to 30 million that are in our country, and we don't have these people vetted. We don't know who they are. On March 9th, there was someone that was that came from Lebanon that is an expert in building things that go boom.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing that we don't know who the hell's coming in here. Where we having a disagreement is in regards to the bill. How do you respond to the fact that there are Republican congressional members stating that they agreed to the bill and they were told by President Trump to scrap it?
I just simply think that the bill didn't do enough. The bill was, there was too much language in there that didn't give enough authority to the Border Patrol. There was too much language in there that kind of tied their hands, and it just simply wasn't enough to what's going on at the border. 5,000 a day is ridiculous. It should be none a day. There's too much going on at the border, and it needs to stop. The border needs to come to a complete halt.
So then you said 5,000 a day is too much, and many folks agree with you. But let me ask you this. Right now, considering that we threw the border bill away, do you think it's less or more than 5,000 a day now? We were going to limit it to 5,000.
There's probably an excess of probably 15 to 20,000 coming across.
Then why wouldn't you limit it at 5?
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
I don't get the logic. To me, it sounds like I'm telling you, I can't pay my rent. Can you loan me some money? You give me $2, and I say that's not enough. It's a start. It's a start.
I agree. It was a start. I just didn't. I'm in disagreement with the border being open. I would have agreed to it to be just a little bit closed, but they didn't think it was a great idea. Baby steps maybe could have curbed it a little bit, but at this point it's so out of control. And seeing what happened yesterday and seeing what's happened in our country just even over the last couple of months, and it's just, I
gotta move it on, but in my opinion, if you're not willing to take a baby step and you're okay with waiting till Trump gets in office, which he doesn't get sworn in until.
Listen, I'm willing to take a baby step. Some people aren't, and something needs to be done. They need to come up with a comprehensive, just a border package. Forget everything else. We need to come up with a border package, and I don't know if we're willing to wait till Trump. We need to come up with something.
I absolutely believe we're willing to wait till Trump, because they came out and said it. Trump wants the border to be chaotic because it helps him out in November. I think we're definitely willing to wait until November. We just want to keep talking about it until then because it does help Trump in November. But I don't think Trump wants anything done to secure the border. And I think that the Republicans have pretty much came out and admitted it. I'll give you the last word.
Something needs to be done before that.
All right.
That's where I'm in disagreement with them. I think something needs to be done now.
Yeah.
Like yesterday.
Fair enough. Appreciate you coming in, Lily. All right.
Thanks for the time.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You too. Looking in the comments, Trump's not coming to save anyone. We the people have to step in. Well, everybody doesn't agree with you. There are plenty of folks that do believe Trump is coming to save the country. The border problem affects every state in the USA to a degree. I don't think if Governor Abbott and to a lesser degree, Ron DeSantis had sent all those immigrants up north to places like Chicago and New York, I don't think they were seeing a major effect of what's happening at the border. Not enough to really have an outcry. Now they are, though. Now they are. By the way, tap the screen. Certainly get the likes on up to 30,000. We still have 800 plus of you in here. With TikTok going down for those few minutes, it made a difference in the algorithm and in the numbers, but I do appreciate those that are supporting the program. Certainly, if you would tap the screen for my YouTube viewers, feel free to smash that like button. As always, the program is never blocked, banned, or censored by the host. I am a strong proponent of free speech. You don't have to agree with me on a damn thing. I will always give you the floor for as long as you need to state your point. Big Bert, open book. Hell yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate that, Big Bert. Going back to the comments, or better yet, the box, we'll go ahead and make it happen with conservative, Rich, I believe that is. He can't save himself. Wait, he can't save the country. He can't save himself. I don't know. Trump is doing a good job dodging a lot of bullets. Now he claims he actually has the money Letitia James is seeking. Conservative, good afternoon.
How we doing, handsome?
I'm doing good. Hey, good to see you as well. We're talking about the border in particular. Do you think Trump could get this under control?
I do. I mean, he wanted, I think he asked for $5 billion to build a physical barrier. And, New York City's at like 20 already, so...
Wait, say that again?
He already proved he would have did a better job. He wanted $5 billion to build a physical barrier.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And I think New York City just passed a budget for $20 billion for the next 3 years to take care of migrants.
I don't know, but you think New York's budget to take care of migrants, you think they would be willing to give that to Trump for the wall?
No, I think they should have given it to him when he wanted to build a wall.
Now you raise an interesting point, and my pushback to you would be, perhaps they would have done what you're suggesting if he wasn't calling their city a shithole. This is where when we talk about the language can affect how people feel about you. If you want folks to cooperate, treating them like shit doesn't always work in your best interest. Do you not see any correlation to that?
Yeah, but I mean, calling people who spend too much money and get no results anything but ineffective is counterproductive to the American people.
I don't disagree that.
We have to call it out.
Yeah, I don't. Well, you can call it out in a manner that doesn't sound as insulting as calling somebody's whole entire town a shithole. I mean, that's, New York produces a lot of tax money for this country. I mean, it's probably one of the biggest metropolitan areas in terms of tax revenue. If New York disappeared, we would have a lot of money to make up for. So I don't know if calling the whole city a shithole is the best idea if you need their help like you're talking about with the wall.
Well, I could agree there.
Yeah.
Definitely want to watch the rhetoric. The rhetoric can be dangerous.
Yeah, the rhetoric is probably the reason he's not in the White House right now, because I've said before, I think on paper he would have probably been worthy of a second term, but you just can't insult your way to glory.
I give you that one. He's got to tone it down for sure with the opposition.
Think is there any chance that'll happen?
Before you asked about stepping stones, taking stepping stones to secure the border.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say that those are billion dollar stepping stones.
Okay.
Like, it's not just we got to help, we got to fix this problem. So the government has a long history of making these promises, spending billions, sometimes trillions of dollars, and getting little to no result.
Okay.
So we just gotta be.
So
careful
why do
when we say
so
more money is the problem?
Do
We
you
just need more money?
Do you believe the Republican Party acted in America's best interest when they decided not to pass the border bill?
I do, because we're spending billions of dollars to be ineffective.
So do you think things are better right now? Or do you think things are better right now than they would have been if we had passed that ineffective border bill?
Well, we're not spending billions of dollars. We're still ineffective.
What makes you think we're not spending the money? We're still helping.
We're still ineffective minus the price tag.
Yeah,
so we gotta become more effective by building a physical barrier. There was no legislation to build a physical barrier, and we have to be able to channel these people and get them to points of entry. We can't have miles of open area where people can just walk through, because really it's not the people coming here for work that we're worried about. It's the people the people avoiding border patrol.
Now you mentioned in our conversation, New York passed a bill for $20 billion. What was that for?
That was to take care of migrants.
Right.
That was just migrant legislation.
Right. So when I asked you, are we better off not passing the border bill? You said, we're not spending billions of dollars. Actually, we are.
People are already there.
Right, but if we didn't.
People that are already there.
Right, but if we actually had passed the border bill, which would have gave us more judges to help get those folks out of New York, perhaps that $20 billion wouldn't need to be spent.
But see, this is where we differ. I don't want to create more bureaucracy. I want to eliminate the problem. Creating more bureaucracy just adds to the problem. When you eliminate the problem, I want to fix the problem.
Elaborate on what you mean by eliminate the problem. Okay, we got some folks are suggesting as many as 10 million immigrants have come in here under Biden. If let's say Trump gets in power, he would, as you say, a physical barrier, secure the border, most likely would end the asylum process.
Mexico, definitely, I think key, most important, is having Mexico enforce their own immigration laws. Right, so we keep their country clean of traffic, and then what are we dealing with? We're not dealing with. We're already solved the problem.
I don't think we solved the problem, because you're not speaking about the ones that's here already.
Well, then the only thing we can do is process people and deport them as they commit crimes.
Okay,
that's it. You commit a crime, you're out.
So as long as the ones that are here currently, as long as they don't commit crimes, they're okay to stay?
Well, yeah, I mean, what else are you going to do? You can't really go around just kicking down doors, right? We're not Rubber Mueller.
I don't know about that. Trump said the largest deportation.
Rubber Mueller, you don't get to go around kicking down doors for no reason.
I don't know. Trump said he's going to impose the largest deportation process in history. That sounds like some doors getting kicked in to me.
No, I mean, well, it's going to be, as they commit crimes. I think that's the way you're going to have to do it. And obviously the people that are in shelters and stuff like that, we're going to process them more quickly.
Okay. So do you fear the folks that have come in this country? Do you believe they're really here to hurt us?
The people who come and approach the points of entry and actually claim asylum, no.
So when Trump says they're rapists and murderers, do you think that's inaccurate?
That's unfair. Come on, man. That's some MSNBC stuff right there.
So wait, hold on, hang on. I'm gonna give you a quote, and you tell me if it's accurate or if it's some MSNBC stuff.
He was talking about he was talking about MS-13. He was specific. That whole comment was taken.
Hold on. Okay, so let me make sure I get clarity. When he said they're not sending us their best and brightest, they're sending us their rapists and murderers, he's saying that MSNBC is true, or not MSNBC, but he's saying that MS-13, the Latin gang, they're choosing not to send their best and brightest. They're sending rapists and murderers instead.
He's talking about the drug cartel specifically in that conversation.
So what he's saying is the drug cartel. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me get it out before you start responding to it. So what he's saying is the drug cartels are deliberately choosing not to send the best and brightest of the drug cartels. They're instead sending the rapists and murderers from the drug cartels.
Yeah, I mean, they're just not good people, right? Gangbangers aren't good people.
Okay, so
people bringing drugs across the border, you know, the whole organization is just not made of good people, right? It's a criminal thing. It's a criminal organization.
Yeah, I would invite you to look up the actual quote, because folks always talk about Trump's being taken out of context. When he made that quote, he didn't say nothing about the cartels or MS-13 or MS-13. He didn't even bring them up. He said Mexico.
He's talking about the criminal element.
That ain't what he said, though.
Compared to immigrants who are hand chosen to come here because they have skills like engineering and doctors, and that's the way we normally have immigrants come here. When they compare immigrants to migrants, right? It's just dishonest.
But that's not what his quote was. Mexico is not sending their best and brightest. They're sending us rapists and murderers.
You got to remember, this is also during a time when we didn't have caravans like this, right? We were just talking about the Mexican drug cartel.
No, we had caravans. We absolutely had caravans under Trump's term. No, we had caravans.
I mean, there is some evidence of, countries emptying their prisons and putting people in caravans.
Okay.
Right? I mean, we do have the evidence of that. So they're not sending their best in some cases, right?
Well, and that's what I'm saying. When I asked you, do you fear these folks? Because he's making it sound like the overwhelming majority of the folks coming here are rapists and murderers.
No, I think we're getting a little bit of everything.
He doesn't say that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think we can all, common sense says, it doesn't speak in absolutes, right?
Okay.
Not everybody's this or that. There's going to be everything.
Okay.
Right?
Well,
so in everything is nightmare scenario, and there's beautiful people, right?
I don't hear him talking about that.
Nightmare people.
I don't hear him talking about beautiful people coming across the border.
Okay, well, it could be.
Okay.
There could be beautiful people coming too.
Do you think they're poisoning the blood of this country?
Poisoning the blood of the country? Well, you're not assimilating to the country. You're coming here, and these are people coming here in a state of need. It's different. You know what I mean? They're not coming here to get a union gig. They're not coming here to join the union.
Wait, hold on. You do realize the Republican Party, and particularly President Trump, don't favor unions to begin with. He don't even want you and I to get a union job. They don't want them around.
Yeah, well, we're not. What I'm saying is we're not handing them out either, right? We're not handing them out to migrants when they come to the border.
They're not handing them out to Americans.
Just remember, Republicans are the only people ever to grant amnesty.
Yeah.
Ever.
So at the end of the day, when I ask you, do you believe they're poisoning the blood of this country? Your answer is?
No, I don't believe. I think we should have people assimilate to the country.
Okay.
And we should have.
What do you think he meant by that?
Based on merit, right? We heard that before. Based on merit, based on are you an engineer? Are you a doctor? We need to fill positions. Maybe we do need farmers. Maybe we do need, but it needs to be counted and controlled. We need controlled migration.
So what do you think he meant when he said they're poisoning the blood of our nation?
Well, it's just numbers. It's just mass numbers, right?
What does that mean?
So if you have 20 million people that aren't from here in a place where there's only 50 million, it's different. It's a different makeup of people now. Now it's all people in need. you're hurting the poorest people in America by flooding the poorest neighborhoods with more poor people. They're just they're confiscating all of the benefits. There's not enough to go around. And now the only answer is, like every other answer, empower the government to confiscate. That's the only solution with every problem. If you ever look at all the problems, the only solution is big government, limit the people, strip people of their freedom, give the government more money.
Okay. So
I think we can do better.
Okay, fair enough. So last question I would ask, because you answered about poison in the blood. You gave your opinion on rapists and murderers. Vermin. What did he mean when he referred to them as vermin?
Again, we're talking about criminal element.
He didn't say
About
that.
people coming in here with fentanyl, right? Somebody in this country dying every 7 seconds from fentanyl.
Okay.
That's a crisis. That's a pandemic.
Yeah.
That's the unspoken pandemic.
So do you believe?
So there's real problems.
Do you believe if we? Because keep in mind, most folks in this country that are dying of fentanyl, or that are overdosing on fentanyl and even surviving with the help of Narcan and so, very few of them are saying somebody held them down and forced fentanyl into them. They're taking the stuff voluntarily. So what I want to ask you is, if we got the border under control, do you believe fentanyl would be hard to get in this country?
They're sneaking fentanyl into everything. People don't even realize what they're doing. So that's not entirely true. And do I think the government can solve any? I don't think there's any answer for the government. I have like zero faith in what they're saying these days.
Wow. All right.
I just do, because you know what? It's just if you look at the cost and you look at the price tag and you compare it to the result, every time you're going to see the same common denominator, and that's failure.
Do you think the government's really that bad, huh?
I think it's just it's like the classroom, right? How much of the classroom funding actually makes it to the classroom?
Yeah.
That same example could be seen everywhere. The funding gets eaten in the bureaucracy and never actually makes it to its destination.
I don't know. My point is this:
but not in the amounts it should.
I will just tell you this: I believe if the people were more kind and generous to each other, you wouldn't need government. But fact is, we're in a capitalist country. People don't like to share. You wouldn't need big government forcing each other to do things with it. If we were more kind to each other, you wouldn't need that. But because we are not
Our
very
economic structure doesn't have any bearing on how people treat each other. And I would say America is the prime example of giving, because there's nobody in the world who responds first to natural disasters. There's no one in the world who's created more medicine, cured more disease, delivered more medical devices, treatment, medicine, water, food.
I could counter you with all of the countries and people. Hold on, hang on. I could counter every generous act you said with all of the wars and people we've destroyed. We've done a hell of a lot more.
The failures in government. You're going to point out more failures in government, and I'm going to point out more achievements of the people, because it's the people who created those devices.
Did you wait? Hold on. You're saying failures of the government versus the people, as if the people were not out in the streets, supporting the Iraq War. All of those wars we get in, you can blame it on the government, but the people are down for that. If you spoke out against the Iraq War, Cindy Sheehan, the Dixie Chicks, how did the people treat her? It wasn't just the government. The people of America has been in favor of damaging these countries. It ain't just the government.
Well, I think after 9/11, like always, the people were manipulated by their emotions.
It's the people. That's the point I'm making. Whether it's emotion or not, it ain't just the government doing it. It's the people.
It was the time in which we had just suffered an attack and we were told that these were the bad guys. And come on, man, what would you do if it was your house?
I'm just simply.
Somebody attacked your daughter and it was at that house, you'd be over at that house.
I hear your point, but I'm just simply saying. I hear your point, but I'm just simply saying the people are in favor of the damage that you're blaming on the government. It ain't like the people are voting these people out. They're voting them in.
The people are also responsible for voting for the government to solve poverty and hunger, and right, we've kept empowering the government with our vote for 60 years while they made promises that they never kept. So it's the people, right, who also get manipulated into things that are counterproductive. And sometimes we vote against our own self-interest.
There you go. Appreciate you coming in, conservative. Thank you. Come on back anytime. All right, looking in the comments, and I do believe that, you know, just like we said on January 6th, you're a full-grown adult. You're making your own decision. If you vote in someone that's telling you that they don't like this group or they're going to impose this action and they do it, you don't get to blame the government. The people are what's supporting this stuff. I mean, I strongly believe that the people are supporting it. I mean, we know George W. Bush got us in a bunch of wars. He still got reelected. So the people are also responsible. Regardless of how you feel about Bush, he doesn't get in office without the assistance of the people. He didn't hide the fact that he was a warmonger. He didn't hide it. Looking in the comments, someone says that was a different time. Xtina, every time you bring up something that was awful, it was a different time until the next awful event takes place. I mean, we talk about racial issues. Yeah, that was a different time until another issue takes place. And then, okay, well, I guess it's still happening. Looking in the comments, Biden's Burisma video, unless some type of charge comes out of it as a result, that whole impeachment inquiry on President Biden is starting to look just like revenge for Trump being impeached twice. Is there anybody that really believes that if Trump hadn't went through those impeachments that pissed off his supporters, Biden wouldn't be going through this right now, even if you believe he's guilty? Biden would not be going through this right now. It's only because folks feel that Trump was mistreated. It's clearly a revenge play. And I'm saying that even if Biden is guilty, they wouldn't come at him until they had solid evidence. They clearly don't have it right now. He's not going to get impeached. It is a revenge play because folks feel Trump was never given an opportunity from day one. It's a revenge play. Looking in the comments, they were trying hard to make Biden look just as corrupt as Trump. They got to try harder. I think it would help if Biden had the same attitude as President Trump, maybe cussed out a few people and things like that. It's easier to demonize somebody when they're acting awful. Biden comes across as someone who is, what they say, got dementia. He's out of his faculties. Even when they had him in court, what is the guy, had him under investigation. The guy, stated, we can't prosecute him. He's an old man. It's easy to prosecute somebody who's constantly talking shit and cussing you out. So Trump makes a better victim. Even if you're mistreating him, he makes a better victim. If you or I were being wrongfully treated by the cops, wrongfully arrested, whatever you want to call it, wrongfully charged, you make a better victim if you're fighting back and cussing out the cops. Less sympathy than if you're wrongfully arresting some old dude that is spitting a bunch of gibberish. It doesn't look as good. But if you're fighting back and cussing them out and things, it's just a witch hunt. You guys are assholes. You're pigs. Yeah, it makes, fuck your feelings. It makes for a better ass kicking. I'm just going to tell you that. Going back to the box, we'll keep it on the program with Clinton Walston, friend of the program. Good afternoon, Clinton. Tim, have you heard about the terrorist attack in Moscow? 50 dead. Looks like Russia blamed Ukraine. They're at war. Is it really a terrorist attack? Or is it an act of war? Russia's at war with the Ukraine. If it's not the Ukrainians, perhaps, but they are at war. Clinton, good afternoon.
Hey, brother.
Hey, so I'm assuming you've been listening in. Biden at the border, what say you?
It's just funny to me that, if he's the acting president, he's Democrat, and he's letting all these people in and, shipping them, to Texas shipping them to blue states. To me, that's kind of screwed up because they're going to vote and they don't have to have IDs, so they're bringing them in for votes.
You think that the Democrats are letting immigrants in for votes?
Exactly. I mean, if you bring in 10, 15, 20 million people and you lose by 10 million votes, you bring 15 in, you win the election.
So why assume they're automatically going to vote Democrat?
Because all that free money they handed them.
So, so the Republicans are giving them nothing is what you're saying.
Well, I mean, because every president son gets a cross. But it's just like a lady told you yesterday. Her husband came through and then had to pay a bigger fine for coming across illegal and everything. But he is legal, and I'm all for people coming over legally and paying their taxes and stuff. But the people who's coming over here and getting free everything, no. I mean, I don't understand how the system works. When you're not an American citizen, how do you get American benefits off that? That's what puts a real kink in my drawers, I guess you'd say, because we pay our taxes in, and they want to raise the retirement age, and people's done 30, 40, 50 years, and these people come over here, and I'm not saying them all, I'm just saying these people who come over illegal, and they hand them this and hand them that, they're getting American benefits, and there's getting benefits that Americans can't even get.
So is it safe to say you believe that someone coming to this country should not be able to tap into American entitlement programs, should not be able to receive benefits?
I think people come in illegal should not. People coming in legal should.
Well, if you come in legally, it costs so much money, you probably already got money on your own.
Yeah, but the thing about it is they come over for a better life. But you heard that lady yesterday, they ship their money back to Mexico. They have a house in Mexico. They have a house in America. They have, struggling Americans, when are we going to get a break? I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican, what? When are we going to get a break?
And that's a good question, because we hear this about the Ukrainian money going over there and things like that, and why not take care of Americans? Why are there no Republicans suggesting that if we stop giving money to immigrants or the Ukraine, we would do this for folks that are struggling, or we would do that? I'm not hearing anything that they would actually do. I hear them saying, that money could do better off here in America, but I'm not hearing a single promise of what they are going to do after we give the money or what they were doing before we gave the money. I don't believe it's going to happen.
No, they do it. You got to think, and I'm not saying this is the reason, but I think there's something behind it. What is the one reason that the only country that Joe Biden's son had dealings with, and Joe Biden, fired that prosecutor, what it was in Ukraine, wanted him gone as vice president. Okay, why are they handing them money? Why couldn't it have been another country like Israel? Why couldn't it have been Saudi Arabia? Why could it be, some other country besides the country that Joe Biden and his son was dealing with? Does that not look corrupt? They're helping them.
Well, yeah, but the folks on the right don't support giving money to Israel either.
Well, you're right, but the thing about it is, until policies change, and it starts with the government. I hate government. I'm anti-government. I believe if you just done away with all of them. Now, the forefathers had it right. Come over, back 60, 80, 100 years ago, people come from Italy. They had to swear in, use our language. Now, if you look all over the United States, there's nothing but American and Spanish. When you get a phone call, it's one for English, two for Spanish. Why do we have to change our way of life, our country around for their heritage? If they want to come to this country, why don't they learn our language, swear in, pay taxes?
Wait, hold on. What are you, a Native American? If people come to the country,
Cherokee Indian, have my card.
Yeah, so you think we should be speaking Cherokee?
Well, no, English is a native language here.
No, it wasn't. It's a native language now. But the argument you're making, your Cherokee heritage could say the same thing. Well, we're coming here and changing it, so we got to speak English.
Okay, there goes the government again. You've answered your own question. Because the government coming here and took this land and moved to Oklahoma, thousands died. And they didn't really give the Cherokee Indians nothing. And the state of Alabama don't even recognize the Cherokee as a tribe federally because they moved out of Alabama forcibly. But there's only one tribe that they do recognize. And it's funny that it's near Montgomery, Alabama, where all the crooked politicians, and that's the Porch Creek Indians.
So listening to what you're saying about, immigrants coming here from south of the border and you got to push two to speak Spanish and all that, is it possible that currently in America, our biggest fear is that immigrants are going to do to us what we did to the original inhabitants of this country?
Pretty much. If you think about it, okay, when the forefathers came over here and pretty much run the Indians out and moved them and
killed them,
and all this other stuff.
Killed them off.
Okay. Yes, sir. Just, hoarded them off. Took them to Lake Gunners. We'll put them on the Tennessee River. thousands died. Took them to Oklahoma, gave them a lot smaller piece of land than what they came from. Okay, that was an invasion in itself. Okay, that was let's just say that was white folks coming in, forcibly forcing people off, and then that made a change in life for the native people. Okay, well, if we have a bunch of Hispanics here, and I got Hispanic friends, they come in illegal, I'm good with it. I don't have a problem. Like I said, I've got Hispanic friends, black friends, all walks of life. I'm not discriminative any other way. It's just what ticks me off as a taxpayer is when they come in and they get all these benefits and they're not citizens. That's what ticks me off, because they're here for the freebies. And I mean, I could take you 5 miles from my house, Tim, and they live. There's a family of Hispanics, good folk, good working folk, but they own like dozers, 200 and something acres of land. They own heavy equipment, like $200,000 worth of trucks. I worked nearly 35 years of my life, and I ain't got nowhere near that shit. Because I'm taxed to death. I mean, the American people, that's what they're pissed about. In the Constitution, it says no man should be double taxed. That's bullshit. You know as well as I do. You get your check, your tax. You get this, your tax. You get that, your tax. You buy gas, your tax. Tax, and it's all.
Here's what I don't. In what you're talking about, the taxes in this country, your anger with the tax system, it's very common. But here's what I don't get. We, as American citizens, are some of the wealthiest inhabitants on earth. We sound like a bunch of rich people complaining about money. There's a hell of a lot of people that look at us like, damn, you bitching? You got a big-ass house, a nice fancy car, and you're bitching about money. Are we ungrateful?
Well, everybody don't live that life, though. I mean, does these people that own companies and businesses? Yes. I mean, but when you're working for $17 an hour raising 3 kids and you're struggling, I mean, let them politicians in Montgomery and in Alabama and Washington, D.C., let them bitches live off $17 an hour.
Yeah. So how do you respond to?
I mean, it's all crooked.
Okay, I do got to move it on, but I want to ask you. I want to ask you this last question before I move it on. The woman you mentioned that I was talking to yesterday that had a husband and they came here legally. She mentioned that for some folks that are down near the border, they didn't come here illegally or cross the border. The border crossed them, meaning that our family lived in this area generations ago when it still was Mexico. You took Mexico, and now suddenly I'm in the United States. How do you respond to folks who feel like the border moved, they didn't?
Okay, they're right. Texas used to belong to
Mexico.
Okay, that's the whole part of what me and you was talking about when I got off on Montgomery, Alabama, and Fort Creek Cherokee Indians. When you asked me, how my native language was Cherokee. I have my Indian card. My kids have theirs. Okay, when the white folk moved in and took over, that was an invasion, like I told you a while ago. Yeah. But okay, if a bunch of Hispanics move in and Chinese and Haitians and all this other, where does that leave the American people? They're going to be overrun after a while, and it won't be like that no more.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, we got 7 or 8 months. We'll see what Trump does about it. I do got to move it on, though, Clinton.
Brother, I appreciate you.
Absolutely a pleasure. Same. Everyone becomes an American, says Carl. How many of you folks believe that? That as long as you don't have a criminal record, you should be to come in America and seek a better life. Some folks do support the border being in a pseudo-open status. As long as I don't have a criminal record, I want to migrate to the United States should let them in. There are people that believe that. I've talked to them. So how many of you folks think that should be the way it is? Facts. Texas really are Mexico. Texas really are Mexico when you look it up. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that used to be, I think all the way up to Phoenix, over in Arizona, all of that used to be part of Mexico. The actual history of that, I forgot the president that was in charge at the time, but they deliberately started a war with Mexico because they knew they would win it. I cannot think of the American president that orchestrated it, but they deliberately started a war with what was Mexico at that time because they knew we would win. We did win, and that's how we ended up expanding well into Mexico. All of that used to be Mexican territory down there. We started a war, created a reason, and when they tried to fight back, well, we're at war now, and we took some of that land. Very similar to what Hitler did, but he lost. thanks to the allies. Very similar to that. We don't have the infrastructure to support a large population swell in a short time. Probably, certainly when you're talking about millions of folks coming in the span of a very short period of time. But here's what I don't get. How can you suggest we don't have the infrastructure to take in millions of illegals while passing bans on abortion with the expectation is going to create millions of Americans? And we know that the majority of women wanting to have abortions are at the lower end of the socioeconomic scale. So if you don't have the infrastructure, you're doing something to create more humans. Am I getting this? Am I off on this? Okay, we don't want to take in immigrants. I get it. They're, as some folks will say, they're not assimilating. They're coming here for assistance, and they come in here to get freebies, as my last caller said. What do you think a baby's going to do? Baby's going to go to work? They need freebies too. You're passing bills, or better yet, legislation, banning abortion. What do we have? Between 500 and 750,000 abortions in this country annually? That law is going to create people that require the infrastructure you're suggesting we don't have. Is it possible that perhaps we do have room for the people, but don't want them here because they're not American? Because if you can pass an abortion ban, you clearly believe the room is there. Yeah, hi, DJ Julio. Thank you for the hat and mustache. Continuing the program on, Charlie Wright. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Going to need migrants to work on those farms. Yeah, Charlie. Good afternoon. Okay. Apparently, Charlie is not by the phone. By the way, when it comes to wealth, America is 10th in the world. Yeah, but when you say America's 10th in the world in terms of wealth, the other wealthy countries, because we already think in America the wealth is only concentrated in the hands of the 1%. It's even worse in those other 9 countries. In America, even if you're born dirt poor, you can climb up the ladder better than in most countries in the world. You may never be a billionaire, but you certainly can be born with nothing in America and at least reach the level where you got a house, a car, and a comfortable life. That is harder to do in most countries around the world. So when you say we're 10th in terms of wealth, yeah, if you compare us to Dubai, or somewhere, the UAE rather, yeah, but the people in those countries are poorer than the people in America. It's the dictatorships, for instance, where the money is concentrated in the hands of very, very few people. The picture is much bigger than simply whether people cross legally or illegally. Yes and no. I think the issue under the Biden administration is not necessarily that they're coming here, legally, illegal. It's the fact that they're not being vetted. It's the fact that nobody knows who the hell these people are. And it does seem like the diversity of the crowd coming in does not match the entry point. Why is Chinese people coming in from Mexico? How the hell does that happen? So that is something to question. We can talk about, did it happen under Trump? I don't know. But why are folks coming from Mexico that don't live anywhere near Mexico? You're flying in with the goal of, something's wrong with that. I don't know how else to say it, but you clearly didn't apply for a visa to come to America. You got into one of these other countries and decided, I'm gonna walk up to who the hell does that? Something is wrong with that. That is worthy of bringing up. Looking in the comments, they're not brown skinned. That is something many folks are saying because they don't want to be treated like they have treated minorities. All right, going to the box, Moo. You know who? Good afternoon, Moo. Welcome to the program. Tell me about Biden at the border. What say you, Moo?
Yeah. I mean, he's done a piss poor job. And keep in mind, the vast majority of Biden's policies are Trump's policies. He hasn't changed much of anything. So if you're unhappy with Biden's policies, you should have been unhappy with Trump's policies too, right? The only reason you're super excited about Trump's policies is because he stands up there like an idiot, yells build a wall, you all chant with him, but even though Biden's vast majority of policies are exactly the fucking same, y'all, I don't like this now. I don't like this now. Well, you shouldn't have liked it then either.
I'll tell you why I believe that is. It's because Biden's messaging is poor. If Biden simply got up there and said, right now, the country is this or this, and the policy that Trump implemented, I think right now it would be in our best interest for it to remain in place. Everybody would know what you're talking about. The messaging is poor.
Yeah, and he's done a bad job, just like Trump did a bad job. And Trump will continue to do a bad job if he gets back into office, right? Because he's not making any deals with South America. He's not going to improve any of these other countries' economic status so that they don't want to come here. And we could benefit from that, right? You set up factories. He's a businessman. He should get some nice deals going down there, right? But he's an incapable schmuck who doesn't want to actually fix the border. He just wants to get all these morons to build a dome, bing, bing, bong, build a wall with no real fucking solutions at all. And then you got a bunch of conservatives coming on here saying, oh, they're taking benefits away that we want to privatize and get rid of for the regular Americans, but the immigrants are getting it now, but we don't even want them for regular Americans. You guys try to privatize Social Security. You want to raise the age to 70 years old. You want to privatize it. All these benefits you're talking about that you want regular Americans to get, you try to get fucking rid of since I've been a child.
Yeah.
So don't come at me with that bullshit, MAGA.
Yeah, well, I can't disagree with that. And I've said it numerous times on the program myself that if you don't want immigrants coming in this country, if you don't want money going to help the Ukraine or Israel or some other country, just come out and say that. Quit making up excuses that you want to help the poor, because that's not true.
That's the main problem I have with MAGA, right? You guys gaslight everybody instead of saying what you actually feel, what you actually want, right? Be real with people. Say, I don't want brown people here. I think they're going to replace all the white people. At least then you would be real, and some shit you say would actually make sense. Instead of all this gaslighting bullshit y'all always say that nobody fucking buys except for you dumbasses.
But when you say they don't want brown people, do you see a racial element? Because that sounds racial. Brown people.
They're racist. They're listening to a guy stand up on stage saying, these people are poisoning the blood of our country. And they're all standing there, yeah, poisoning the blood of the country. Oh, Nazis are very fine people on both. Yeah, very fine Nazis on both sides. Yeah. Like, dude, these people, I tell you, they are the scummiest of the scum. They have no balls, right? No balls. Because they can't even say how they really feel. They come up here, they say bullshit like, oh, make America great again, but our party never actually ever did anything great for America since Lincoln, so, you know, what the fuck, right?
I mean, is it possible to be MAGA, to support Trump and not be? I mean, you don't think they're all racist? I always ask you this.
No, MAGA is a monolith. If you don't believe in the ideals of MAGA, then you wouldn't be a part of it. No decent person would stand behind a guy who rapes women, who hung out with Epstein, right? Who says the things he does about all these immigrants, who tried to get 5 innocent black men sentenced to be unalived, right? No decent, respectful person would support this man. So they are not decent, respectful people. And that's why I treat them as such.
74 million people. None of them are decent or respectful.
Yeah, so the ones that have left already. And the ones that are still with him, yeah, they're bad people. Every single one of them. 1/3 of this country is fucking insane. No joke. Real deal. 1/3.
So what the hell happens if Trump gets reelected with 1/3 of the country being insane, in your opinion?
I mean, you probably will lose your election system, right? Because he's going to work real hard to become a dictator. Because he's already said that a bunch of times, right? He's already said he wants to lock up his political opponents, right? He did a bunch of stuff to Stormy Daniels on the down low. He got her on some FBI terrorist list when she got to Canada. She had all kinds of fake-ass felonies on her record. This dude is a devious, deceptive, conniving dumbass, right? And he's bringing a bunch of Nazis along with him.
I don't know. Nazis sound kind of harsh. I don't see.
So Steve Miller is an admitted Nazi, right? Steve Bannon is an admitted white supremacist who wrote a whole book on how he wants the final war between the Muslims and the Christians. So, the evidence is right in front of you. You don't need to even think about it.
But okay, if you believe some of the supporters and lower folks are like, you don't see Trump as supporting none of that, do you?
He hires them. Yeah. He brings them into his administration. Fuck yeah. He has dinner with them. He tells them to go storm the Capitol. And then he calls them patriots. Oh, they're hostages, right? No. You're a bunch of scumbags who fell for Trump's bullshit, right? So he could make his fake elector scheme. You created a distraction so that the vice president would feel endangered so that he would rush along with that plan and not have the votes counted. Luckily, out of nowhere, Mike Pence grows a set of balls for like 5 minutes and says, no, I'm not leaving till the votes are counted. So thank goodness for Mike Pence.
Wow. You paint a depressing world, man. Somebody's about to plow me away, Sally, back there. But you paint a depressing world. I really hope you are nowhere near reality when you suggest that all of Trump's supporters are supporting racism and essentially the end of the damn country, man. You're scaring the hell out of me. What about
I mean, you got people standing there, right, cheering for him when he spews Nazi propaganda. If you don't enjoy Nazi propaganda, you wouldn't support Trump. And then they want to come up on your show and on TV and a whole bunch of other places and make excuses for a grown fucking man who, by the way, is begging y'all for money at this point. It's absolutely pathetic. Your leader is pathetic, MAGA.
Man, now speaking of that, someone in the comments is saying this is definitely a kid who went and rioted and looted. So
I'm a 42-year-old system engineer, so yeah, there's that.
Okay. All right, boo. Man, you always leave me depressed, but nevertheless, you're certainly welcome on the program, man. God damn. All right, Moo.
Yeah, I got shit for MAGA for days, man. You have a good one.
All right, Jesus. Every time I get done talking to Moo, I feel like somebody done whoop my ass. Makes me, shout out to my father, may he rest in peace. Damn, I get tired of taking an ass whipping from that guy. And I see in the comments, there's a bunch of you folks who do favor Moo. They are scared of becoming a minority, says Richard Jeffries. Are you suggesting replacement theory is alive and well? I mean, that's what that sounds like. You're saying that folks are scared of becoming a minority. Is it really about that? Do you really believe MAGA is in the mindset that someone's coming to replace? I mean, bring us your tyrants, your worry, your poor. We were supposed to be a country that favored taking on immigrants. Do you really believe MAGA feels like they're about to be replaced? How the hell long does it take for this guy to get rid of this damn snow behind me? Look it in the comments. Yeah, what does it say? Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, and he said, we're the loonies. The handsome MAGA. I love the name. The handsome MAGA 45 and 47 in honor of Trump being the 45th and hopefully 47th president, he's saying. Poison the blood. The poison of blood comment, that is, I believe, what my last caller was suggesting is Nazi-like propaganda. I'm not a big fan of using terms like that. Put on the hat and go say hi to Charles Barkley. You guys are killing it on the Friday. Now, the backstory behind that, if folks aren't aware of what that means, Charles Barkley, former, NBA Hall of Famer, stated that if he seen a black man with a MAGA hat on, he would punch him or something like that. So yeah, that's what he's telling me, to put on the MAGA hat and go hang out with Charles Barkley so I can get my ass beat. By the way, with Charles Barkley, what does he make, like $10 million a year from TNT or something like that? Talk about screaming like a bitch. He didn't even have to hit me. Oh my God. I'd go right off the bat and sue the fuck out of him. All right. Why are Democrats the ones spewing so much hate? Says Corey Steelhart. Elaborate. What type of hatred do you believe the left is spewing? We'll certainly talk about it. You guys know how the program is ran. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. So understand, when you come in the box, whether you're in the comment section, no one gives a damn if you have a different opinion. It's all about free speech here, so understand that. By the way, tap the screen. I haven't solicited that in a minute. We're at 53. We can certainly get up to around 70,000 likes if you folks would tap the screen. Nearly 850 of you still rolling with your boy. You could be anywhere you want to be this Friday. Happy Friday to you. It's always an honor to have you here. So certainly support the program by tapping the screen. Same thing on YouTube. Feel free to smash that like button. If you do enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, without any concern of the host block, banning, or censoring you, you are in the right place. Certainly follow the program or click on the subscription on YouTube. Once again, in the comment section, I wanted to acknowledge, I thought it was a super chat there. I don't know what happened, but perhaps I was looking for something that didn't exist. Here's a new one. Maga is claiming there is a skiff at Mar-a-Lago. Oh my, is that for real? Now, a skiff is where, highly classified documents must remain to be secure. So one in the comments is suggesting in defense of President Trump, dude got a skiff in his crib. No, he does not. That's funny. No, he does not. No, I keep reading the same comment on YouTube. Going back to the box. No, Trump does not have a skiff in his crib. That's like Michael Jackson using what is that called? Propofol in his crib. You're not supposed to put yourself under while you're in the crib. DJ Julio, a skiff in Mar-a-Lago. Yikes. Good afternoon, DJ, if it brings you up.
I'm here.
Hey, so what do you think? Is the border out of control? Is Biden the one we should put a bullseye on to get rid of to fix the problem?
Well, I mean, unlike Moo, I disagree. Yeah, maybe he does have some of Trump's policies, but one of the first policies he got rid of was the border bill.
Now, I had someone suggest that if Biden tried to protect the border via executive action, he would just get shot down in court.
That's bullshit. That's it doesn't make any sense.
What about the border bill that the Republicans shot down, that they pretty much orchestrated? Why would you create a bill and then refuse to sign it?
Because they, from what I heard about that anyway, Democrats wanted to send a bunch of money to Ukraine in lieu of that.
Here's what I don't.
It was a part of that negotiation where they would agree to certain things and blah blah blah, but we're sending money to Ukraine, and the Republicans decided no. Yeah, we drafted this thing. It went through its process, and no, we're not going to do that.
So how does it work when you're talking bipartisan? Let's say you and I reach across the aisle. I'm left, you're right, and we come up with a bill. Isn't there supposed to be something in it for me? Or do we do everything you want and the hell with me?
Well, it depends on what it is that you want.
Ukraine.
No.
Is there anything the Democrats could have wanted that the right would be okay with giving?
I'm sure.
I don't know.
I don't know what all Democrats want.
Well, I don't think the Democrats want to drop the asylum claims to zero. Like Trump is suggesting, close the border completely for 6 months or something like that. I don't think there's anything the Democrats would have wanted that the Republicans would not have. I mean, because when it comes to giving money to the Ukraine, you brought that up. Other than MAGA, everyone on a political scale is okay with giving some money to the Ukraine. It's only MAGA that has a problem with that.
Well, because we see the reasoning behind it all.
Which is?
We don't really want to stand with Ukraine on. I mean, we care about their people. We care about their lives, of course. We don't want.
How?
We don't want Ukraine because we don't want to put missiles that close to Russia. That's the issue with Russia going in after Ukraine and trying to claim it back is because Russia doesn't want our nuclear missiles or our long-range missiles near their border. They don't want that. I wouldn't want it either.
But you're saying you care about the Ukrainian people. If you withdraw all aid to Ukraine, how will the people do?
That's for their country to figure out, and to find out. I hope if it gets real bad, yeah, we'll step in our military, and that's what we should have done. It said, this is a fight over between whatever you guys. It stops today, or we're stepping in completely. And Trump would have done that. Trump would have said he either called, as a lot of Democrats will call his buddy Putin, and say, if you do not pull your troops out, we are coming full scale. You think?
Wait. You think Trump would have chastised Putin, and if Putin didn't respond, he would have been
100%.
willing to put American boots on the ground to control Putin?
100%.
Really?
100%.
I don't know about that one, man. That's pretty far fetched to me.
We didn't have any, Tim. We didn't have any issues with Russia when he was in office. Donald Trump was the first American president to step into North Korea.
It's hard to have issues with somebody when you're taking their word over our intelligence agency and inviting them to the White House. Of course, we're not going to have issues with the man. We were giving him nothing but praise.
Well, you know, some of the CIA and those three-letter things aren't necessarily all about Americans anymore.
Putin is a dictator, DJ. Putin is you're going to favor Putin over the CIA. He's a dictator.
That's his country. That's his right.
What about the people? What about the people?
It's my house versus your house. You may not agree with the way that I raise my kids, but my kids are going to be raised understanding two things: respect and responsibility. You might be a little more free with your kids, and a little more if you've ever looked into a parenting book called Logic and Love and Logic. It talks about a jellyfish parent versus, you know, basically a dictator parent. You might be that jellyfish. America right now might be that jellyfish because we're broke as shit. We're overextended. We're so many trillions in debt. So yeah, we got to, in our government, our long-standing government, been there for a very long time, in their minds, we have to play nice guy to everybody.
Okay, I want to flip it a little bit because we were talking, because now you're MAGA, correct? Is it safe to say that?
I'm a Republican that stands behind the words "Make America Great Again." Yes.
Okay, I want you to hear this. This is from a super chat on YouTube. I don't think MAGA is racist, but they are always willing to ally with them to further their cause, which makes them worse because at least racists believe in the hate they're spewing, and MAGA is doing it for money. That you're affiliating with racists just for the sake of bettering your cause. What say you?
I say I'm not responsible for anybody's actions but my own, and if you want to call me a racist because of where I stand, that's fine with me. And if I know somebody who is racist, guess what? I'm going to treat him with respect so long as he's respectful to me. I don't care about his life. He's not my responsibility.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm getting this. Let me make sure I'm getting this clear. You said
I'm gonna explain it all to you right now. You could put your hand up in the air as a brother, and you could be a part of that faction. I wouldn't give two shits, Tim. If you're nice to me, you're good to me. That's what matters to me, is how you treat me. I'm not responsible for your actions or your likes or your dislikes, your emotions. I'm not responsible for that. I'm responsible for mine.
So if I hate white people, but I'm cool with you, you're cool with me.
I'm not gonna party with you. I'm not coming to your birthday party, but I'm not gonna be disrespectful to you.
I don't know. I can't. Even if I'm.
So let me ask you a question. I'm a Mexican Indian and I'm a white guy. Let's say today I don't like white people. Okay, I don't like white people today. And you love white people and you think that's racism. You're gonna treat me like an asshole because of that?
Yes, and I'm gonna call you one. Yes, and I'm gonna call you one.
What that says, if you're a Christian, what that says is you're higher than God because you have the right to judge me.
No, I'm judging you based. I'm not religious, by the way, so I'm not necessarily judged by that.
Judging is the point. Judgment is the point. Okay? We need to quit judging motherfuckers and start just being respectful to people and holding those who are assholes that are acting as assholes, giving them their consequences.
So how do you feel about people who judge, as you stated we shouldn't judge? How do you feel when people do that?
You're not in my family. You're not in my circle. I have nothing to do with you. But I'll be respectful. I'll be respectful.
So in other words, when Trump says they're poisoning the blood of this country and they're vermin, that's judging, is it not?
No, that's fact.
They're vermin?
Not all. Some of them are good.
So you believe some immigrants are vermin?
If they're bringing drugs and if they're bringing sex trade and if they're bringing that kind of shit into our country, hell yeah, because I wouldn't let you bring it to my house.
Okay, wow, that's some strong language. I don't.
You gonna let me bring some friends over? You gonna let me bring some friends over with me that you don't know, and you gonna let them bring guns and drugs and prostitution into your house, Tim?
I would tell you this right off the bat. I can't bring prostitution in your house unless you want to fuck. The things they're doing is because we have a demand for it. They're not bringing in fentanyl and pinning us down and forcing it in us. We want that stuff.
You might be right.
Yeah.
Some of us do.
Yeah. So we're blaming them child trafficking. Well, they're not bringing the children and making you get with them. We are a demand. They have the supply, and I'm not favoring any of this stuff, but they're only supplying us what we have a demand for. The hard drugs, the child trafficking, even the labor, even the illegal labor, Americans have a demand for. We're blaming them for bringing it, but we're not bringing up the fact that Americans in this country want that stuff.
And you're right. And remember early in the conversation where I said, hold those who are doing bad things accountable. That's what I mean by that. Now, if we are the country that's about that life, and what they are doing with Jeffrey Epstein and what they're doing with a lot of the higher ups that are getting in trouble for essaying or being a part of the SA groups or being a part of trafficking groups or any of that, they're holding them accountable finally. And do you remember who started that, clearing the swamp?
No, I don't remember the swamp ever being clear.
No, because you guys, not you, Tim. And I'm not saying that you.
State your point. Listen, I know you're not talking about me personally, but you know I don't censor. I would allow you to say whatever the hell you wanted to say about me anyway, because that's how the program is ran. State your point.
Okay. State your question again. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just going with what you're talking about, judging, because somebody in the comments, user StatQ says, so why don't you hold Trump accountable? Because he's doing a lot of the stuff that even Trump is known to have hired illegal immigrants. He's doing some of the stuff you're complaining about.
Was he ever held accountable for it at the time?
No.
That's that time period's fault. That's that time period's problem.
Okay. All right.
Tim, how are we ever? I mean, brother to brother, let's pretend none of these people are in this room with us. I'm looking you dead in your eyes because that's how I talk. I like to talk. Even in this, I have to stare at your eyes. It's just the way I am. I'm not reading the comments. I'm in your house. How are we going to change our house? How are we going to change our neighborhood, Tim?
You can change your house and your neighborhood with tact. You don't have to call people all kinds of awful names.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a way to do it. And I think that if you and I sat down and came up with a way of doing it tactfully, we would agree on more than we would disagree on. But you can't go, some of the things that I've asked you about, the terms Trump has said, and you're like some of them are, you're never going to get people to work with you when folks are being called demonization names that most immigrants don't represent. Most immigrants are not coming here with fentanyl, trafficking children, trying to kill people, poisoning the blood. These awful terms that only describe a very tiny percentage of folks are being used to generalize a whole bunch. And as long as that's happening, it's hard to get our house under control.
And I agree. And we've had that talk before, and I've said a million times, Trump doesn't always say things the right way.
Yeah.
I understand exactly what he meant by what he was saying, though.
And you know I don't.
Border control.
And you know I don't, so he needs to stop doing it. Here, let me just say this. Trump is older than both you and I. His English is his native language. He doesn't need an interpreter. Why does he keep saying things that folks like you and other MAGA have to interpret? Why not just speak clearly so that everybody isn't told, well, you're taking this out of context, or that was a joke, that was locker room talk. English is his mother tongue. Why is he speaking it so poorly?
First of all, it's because America turned into a bunch of babies. Everybody's in their damn feelings, and somehow I'm responsible for it. I'm not responsible for your feelings. You know, Candace Owens, I love the way she speaks because she speaks very freely and does not care two facts about her feelings.
That is true. She don't give a shit.
And we need that. And yeah, Tim, go back to it. We need border control. We need to have people vetted so we can, again, tax them the way that they're taxing us Americans. That are born here, that are bred here, that are raised here. You shouldn't because you found a way under my fence at my house. You are not entitled to the food in my fridge.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all that we need to have our border under control. The people coming here need to be vetted. Where I disagree is you don't need to.
Full stop. At that point, the only message across is to scare people. That's the only way Americans. I heard somebody in your comments the other day where it said the only way we're coming together is if we have some kind of UFO invasion, some kind of an invasion. That's the only way Americans in the world are ever going to get back together, right?
Yeah, okay. I'm listening.
Okay.
Here's my counterpoint. When you say the only way we're going to get people to wake up is to scare the hell out of them, the reason I disagree with that, DJ, is that you're going to get people killed. Because I've said numerous times on the program, I lean left, and I would have no problem with a rapist or a murderer losing their lives. If I think you're here to rape and murder people, if I think you're invading our nation, like on December 7, 1941, any Japanese that was murdered, I'm fine with that. You're an invader. When you convince people that that language is accurate, you create a method of open season on immigrants. Because who gives a damn if a rapist or murderer dies? I think that language is going to get people killed.
I agree. You know, but then explain to me when I live in the red state and I'm Native American and I'm of Mexican descent, why do I walk around my entire town fearless?
You the man. I don't know.
Because I don't care. Until I have an issue, I'm okay. I don't judge nobody, so I don't go out looking. I don't see you walking down the street and go, oh my God, there's a brother. I'm scared. He's wearing a blue tank. He's wearing a blue flannel. He's definitely a Crip. I'm not that guy. I don't judge you. Until you hurt me, I don't judge you. And even then, I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to beat your ass if you hurt me.
Yeah, but you said you don't judge people. Folks who believe they're rapists, murderers, vermin, they are judging them. They are judging them.
He's stating facts again. Those things have been proven, Tim. That those people are making it through the border.
He's not.
Those true or false? Those people are coming through the border.
There are. I'll say true. Some bad people are coming across the border, but okay, it's not to the point where. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hang on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. The way Trump is making it sound. It's not like there's a handful of bad people crossing the border. He makes it sound like just about every. What did he say? They're not sending us their best and brightest. They're sending us their rapists and murderers. I assume some of them are good people. So in other words, the overwhelming majority of these folks are rapists and murderers. That is completely inaccurate.
Okay, I guess we'll see. I don't know.
I gotta move it on, DJ. Good talk. Good talk. Anytime, you know how we do it, man.
I know.
All right, it's a pleasure, though. All right, going back to the box. I always enjoy talking to Julio. We don't agree on shit, but he's always welcome back. Looking in the comments, millions coming, and so far, very few are committing crimes. And I stand by that statement. I've asked that before. If there is allegedly 10 million, now some folks say the number is inflated as well, but let's go with the number. If there is allegedly 10 million illegals that have come in here under President Biden, you gotta explain why the amount of folks that have been murdered or raped is so damn low. Are we to believe that 10 million rapists, murderers, all are able to lay low in sync? Think he proved my point, says Name Barbara. Yeah, I don't totally disagree with that. Name, thank you for the super chat on YouTube. Been very generous. Absolute a pleasure for that. Yeah, if 10 million of these folks coming in this country are all quote unquote bad hombres, where's all the crime? It should be way more crime than that's taking place. A cop, three cops get beat up by a handful of immigrants. It's on television, running in a loop for a couple weeks. A nursing student in Georgia gets murdered by an illegal immigrant. That shit's still on television. Damn near a month later. Why are there no cycle of new murder victims? It should be a different murder victim on TV every day. In fact, a few of them. 10 million folks. There's only 350 million of us in here before them. So that's a decent increase of people. Now we can talk about entitlements, resources, things like that. Some of these cities do not have the money or the infrastructure to take care of all these people, particularly New York. You hear the mayor speaking out on it. That's a legitimate claim to make. But calling them rapists and murderers is not. When there's no onslaught of victims. There's just not. There's nowhere near enough folks complaining that they have been wronged by illegal immigrants to justify the rhetoric that President Trump is saying. And my whole take on it is that rhetoric creating that much fear is going to get people killed. I've said this before, and I know a hell of a lot of my beloved Maga will never agree with me on this, But you're entitled to not agree. I don't block, ban, or censor you for disagreeing. That's fine. But I do believe running crimes committed by black folks over and over and over again, certainly when I was younger, it was on TV all the damn time, has a lot to do with why the police are far more hesitant when dealing with African Americans. If you portray somebody as a danger, how could you not understand that when they are in contact with that person, they feel like they're in danger? When you run them over and over again as bad people, you can't expect people to view them as anything else. So I do believe what the media is doing to immigrants is likely going to get folks injured, if not killed, because you're scaring the shit out of people. And that my last guest made it clear that that's the goal, is that to wake people up, we're going to scare the hell out of them, even if we tell them things that are not true. I can't back that up. Fiora, Emmanuel, Briggs, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Yeah, he did say it. He said it right out. The goal is to scare the shit out. I really don't think you should do that unless it's based on fact, not just to make it up. Americans need to just start loving each other. Hard to do that when we vehemently disagree on so much. Very hard to do that. I tried to bring up a guest. We'll try it again. I see the stars and bars as a profile picture. That's inviting. That is inviting. I always got to talk to someone who has a profile picture of the stars in bars. Now, I can't pronounce the name, but we damn sure can have a conversation if the box lets them up. So I'm trying to bring this individual. There you go. What is the name there? You're on mute, by the way. Can you hear me?
My name is, you pronounce it Nasirith.
What type of name? What is the heritage of that name?
I just came up with it.
Okay, fair enough. So what do you think about...
Looking at a piece of paper one day and decided to use that name.
Okay.
I'm driving, so if there's feedback or anything, I can drop if it's too much.
Okay, but you're good for now. So what do you think about what's going on at the border? Is that all Biden's fault?
So my take on the border is Title 42 was a good thing. Was it the perfect solution under Trump? No, it wasn't, in my opinion. But once Biden took over and Title 42 was on the verge of expiring, something should have been done to either continue Title 42, even though it wasn't perfect, or some type of new plan so that the border didn't get overrun. Overrun speaking, there's been more gotaways, there's been more apprehensions, there's been more connections at the border under Biden than under Trump. And not to beat a dead horse, but the example that I'm going to bring up is just happened yesterday, the day before yesterday, when I think it was about 1,000 migrants overran National Guard at the border.
100. It was 300 in El Paso. We talked about it earlier in the program. 300 of them.
Okay, 300. They overran the National Guard and stormed the gate.
Yeah.
And they were from the video, it looked like there were Haitians, Mexicans, Venezuelans, people of Mexican and South American descent. So do I think we could do a better job at the border? Yes. Do I think that Democrats and Republicans on both sides of the board, they seem to fight over everything. And they don't really, in my opinion, they don't really care what's good for the people of the country. They more care about their own interests.
Well, let me just say this. We've had an immigration problem under every president in our lifetime, including Trump. And it's because when you say the politicians don't care about the people, in reality, both sides of the aisle want these folks here. Democrats want them here because they turn into votes. Republicans want them here because Republicans have big business in their pocket making huge donations, and big business want the cheap labor. So you're going to get an issue with immigrants from both sides because they both want them here. The only issue I have is it possible we could deal with fixing the border without having someone like Trump demonizing these folks and making them all sound like Freddy Krueger?
And I can agree with that. I think Trump needs to watch his words a little bit more. And I was having a discussion with somebody earlier in another live, and he was asking me, or he was asking the panel, what is the one thing that Trump could do that would bring millions over to his side.
Turn into a mime. Turn into a mime.
And a few of us were saying that he needs, if he came out on, live TV or did an interview and he came clean about some of the things he could have done better or he thinks he did wrong and so on and so forth, him being honest like that would be the transparency that people need to either side with him or steer away from him. And is the immigration system broken? Yes. Is the border bill that was introduced over the top? In my opinion, yes, because we've already given $100 billion worth of money and et cetera to Ukraine. In my opinion, we don't need to give any more. And to add that fluff to a border bill when there's already a border bill called HR2 on Schumer's desk.
Well, wait a minute. Are you okay with letting the Ukraine fall to Russia?
This might be pretty controversial, but Ukraine is one of the biggest sex trafficking countries in the European region. So, in short, no, I would not be okay with giving Ukraine any money. And in the 2000s, Ukraine was known as one of the most corrupt countries on earth. And now, all of a sudden, 15 years later, we want to give them billions of dollars because Russia is invading Ukraine.
So let me ask it to you this way. Let's say, because you suggested that that the Ukrainians are involved in some, hellified corruption. If we stopped assisting the Ukraine and Russia ended up taking over that country, do you feel confident that the corruption you're talking about would go away?
No, because there's always going to be corruption worldwide, but I don't think the U.S. needs to stick their nose in everything that goes on, especially when it serves United States interest to be involved in said country.
So here's the issue I have now. You lean right, am I correct?
Yes, I lean right, and
you support Trump?
Yes, I lean right.
Are you leaning right like Nikki Haley, or are you MAGA?
I support the Make America Great Again agenda. I just think people get confused when they hear Make America Great Again. They think, well, when have we been great? Well, no, not everything in the United States has been great, but there have been great aspects of America.
It don't say all that on the hat. That's why you getting asked that. All that ain't on the hat.
Yeah, that would be a huge act.
Yeah.
But to make America great again, in my opinion, involves the things that were great in this country, where prosperity, people being able to afford things, people uniting together. And I think we are more divided as a country now than we have ever been. And we are, and like
you really wait a minute. You really believe we're right now, when gay marriage is legal, interracial marriage is legal, you think we're more divided now than we ever have been?
As a country, I think we are more divided now that we have everybody's fighting about everything. The left can't agree with the right. And like the other guy was saying, like, I don't care if you're gay, I don't care if you're trans, I don't care if you're white, black, Mexican. I'm African American, and I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I don't care what race you are or where you come from. I don't hate you for who you are, but as soon as you treat me with disrespect, as soon as you start calling me names because you think I'm something or because you assume I'm something else, that's when I'm going to get combative with you. But in the meantime, I'm going to respect who you are and be nice to you, because that's the way you're being to me.
Well, let me say this in regards to your comment about us being divided and we're fighting now more than we ever have. You know why that's happening? It's because everybody now has a seat at the table and they can voice their opinion. We didn't used to fight like this before because you and our opinions didn't matter. You couldn't show up to the city council and demand things are done to address people like you. Nobody gave a damn about you. Same with the LGBT community, women, you name it. They didn't have a place at the table. That's why now everybody is fighting, because now everybody wants to be treated fairly. I think that's a good thing.
I think it is a good thing to be treated fairly, but there's too much hate for the people that don't have the same opinion as you in this. Not you personally, as you in this country. If somebody has a different opinion than somebody else, somebody's more inclined to call them a racist or a bigot or a fascist or
a socialist, Don't forget that one.
Or a socialist or any other word that's out there, simply because you have a viewpoint that's not their own.
So let me.
Yeah.
Okay, I do have to move it on. You're an interesting guest. Let me ask you now. You're African American, right?
Yes, sir.
What does the stars and bars on your profile? What does that mean to you as an African American?
The only thing it means to me is Southern pride, and I kind of use it in addition to as a what's the word I'm looking for?
Take your time.
As an enticement, kind of.
An enticement to what? A fight?
If I start a conversation with somebody and they talk to me like a normal human being, respectful tone, not cursing at me, not calling me racist, blah, 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 blah. And we can have a good dialogue about the flag. We can have a good dialogue about the entire history of the Confederacy, which would take days and days to go over.
So when I asked you, you said one of the things, the aspects of the flag is it's about Southern pride. Do you see the South during the time that battle flag was being flown? Do you see the South during that time as a place to be proud of, an era to be proud of?
I think slavery in itself is not something to be proud of, but I am a Christian and do believe in God. And slavery to a point, without abusing the power of slavery, in my opinion, can be a good thing.
That's like saying without abusing the power of rape. How do you not abuse slavery? In itself is abuse of power. How do you have slavery without abusing the power of it? I'm confused.
By following basically what God told us to do for slavery and how to approach slavery. Now, when it comes to, the R word and unaliving people and hurting people and beating people and so on and so forth, that's all of that labor that goes beyond.
Yeah, but wait a minute. You're mentioning hurting and beating people is going above and beyond. How the hell you think you're going to continue to enslave me if you don't threaten to beat my ass? I'm not going to do this for free. How do you expect to keep people under control without fear of violence?
And that's where I think being respectful comes into play, because there were slaves back in the day that were respected and that had good homes and that had good jobs and so on and so forth. Were they still slaves? Yes, but were they treated as such in a completely derogatory way? In a lot of cases, and in most cases, yes. In some cases, no, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. It's a deep history, and
a respectful slave owner. How does that work? If I'm a slave owner, can I go in town? Hell no. How is that? How do you respect me as a slave owner when I don't have freedom? I'm confused.
You can be given freedom and still be indentured to your master. If that makes any sense.
No, it doesn't. Let me just say this. I'll let you continue. But in the comments, someone stated something. Handsome, do you think this guy really has African American DNA more than 0.5%? You saying you're black? You really are African American?
I am. And if I had live access, if I had 2,000 followers, I could turn on my camera and I would show you.
Wow.
But
I've never heard it. So So if the South had won the war. If the South had won the war, what do you think they had in store for black people?
I can't intelligently speak to that because the South did not win the war.
Okay, so
I have no idea how it would be then or how it would be today.
Okay.
I would hope that African Americans and people of all races have a place in the country to live in, be free, take care of each other, serve each other, and just be a part of this country.
So wait, hold on. So you're saying, I understand I'm asking you to speculate, but you're saying because the South didn't win the war, you have no idea how they would have treated blacks. Considering that they lost, how did they treat blacks after they lost the war?
A lot of them were treated very, very, very poorly, and a lot of them became, in essence, I guess, a lot of them became free, or they escaped from the hands of
You're giving the South credit for black people escaping?
they escaped from the clutches of their abusive masters and so on and so forth.
Okay.
And like I said, I don't agree with that aspect of slavery, but there are other forms of servitude that could be considered slavery that, in my opinion, can be used for a good purpose.
Give me some examples. Let's go into this. I'm going to jump in a wormhole. I want to get a little warm here. Give me the example of servitude that you think can be used for good purposes.
Like like a butler in a house. He's indentured to that house.
He gets paid.
What do you call it? No, not getting paid, but has a cabin to sleep in outside, or he has a room in the house to sleep in. He's a slave to the owner of that house, or he's indentured to the owner of that house, in addition to the maids that are in the house.
Wow.
Or nannies that take care of the kids. They have a place to stay. They have food to eat.
Wow.
They're not treated with disrespect.
How do you think a woman would feel if she raised a child from birth as a nanny, because they used to breastfeed him and all the stuff you're talking about, and then at any given time, the child we're moving and you're going to get sold off and we're going to break this bond because you never really meant anything to it. This is what really used to happen. So at any given time, if they needed to make some money, they would sell her off, even though the child and this woman has a huge, long bond that she's known her almost like a mom from day one. But because the owner wants to sell off and make some money or move or something, just breaks the bond as if it's just like selling a car. You don't see any harm in that at all?
I do see harm in that.
That used to happen.
And that's where I'm talking about the human condition comes into play.
Yeah.
Because now you're dealing with greed and people that squander money and use money for their benefit and not necessarily for.
But that's the only purpose for slavery is to make money. The whole thing about it is greed. That's it. Other than greed, now slavery is free labor. The number one reason to have a slave was free labor. The other reasons are darker. Maybe I don't like my wife because she's gotten older and I want a younger person I can have a little fun with. This is also part of the history of this stuff. You can't say no. So if you got a 15-year-old in the field, and she's working in the field all day and she's fit, and your 45-year-old wife is a fat fuck, you can do whatever you want with this girl. This is part of the history. How do you think they created more slaves? They would just bring someone in, pair them up like pit bulls. The woman didn't have the right to say no. How are you seeing good parts of this stuff?
And I agree with that. And that's where I go into where a lot of it was corrupt.
All of it. All of it. Try saying all. There is no good part about servitude. Otherwise, the white man would be doing it voluntarily. There is no good part of this stuff. This is evil. And as to quote Samuel L. Jackson, I hope they're all burning in hell. There's no good part to this. How could you see that? Okay, I don't know if my caller had a call or what. Are you still there?
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm still here.
Where did you learn that there's good parts to slavery? Who taught you that? As a black man.
As a black man, God talks about it in Deuteronomy, I believe, about slavery and the good aspect of slavery. But when you mix in the human condition, that's when it becomes corruption and greed and power and murder and the R word and unaliving people and all the other nasty things that much of the Confederacy stood for.
Let me just make it clear to you, there is no way for slavery to operate without the evils. People want to be free by birth. That is in us. As human beings, as a species, we want to be free. The only way to keep people in servitude is by threat of violence. There's no way to do this without that. No way at all.
And to speak to that, this whole servitude and slavery thing, I believe that the United States and the citizens of the United States are trapped in servitude and trapped in slavery, whether it's through their job or through the judicial system or just everyday life. You go outside and you have a different opinion of somebody else, and you get persecuted for that opinion. You get called names for that opinion. And in my opinion,
you don't get your foot chopped off. You don't get your head chopped off. This ain't slavery. What are you talking about? Compared to what they used to do, this ain't, you paying taxes. You don't like your taxes going up. That's modern day slavery. What you and I are talking about, they would kill you for that. On the spot, hang you, put your head on a stake in the middle of town. This isn't modern day. Modern day slavery has nothing to do with what used to happen.
And I agree with that. And like I said, I don't agree with the violence and corruption that took place under the slavery during the Confederacy.
Okay. All right. Do you talk about this? Do you express these opinions? Because you're being an African American, obviously you got African American family members. Do you express these opinions around your family?
No. Yes.
You do. I don't know.
The Bible. Yes, reference, but no, as in I don't have discussions with the family about slavery.
Okay. Name, I gotta move it up because you are breaking up, but you're always, listen, we don't agree on a damn thing, but you're always welcome on the program. When I say uncensored, I mean it. So anytime you see me on, my door's always open to you, man. Okay, his signal was breaking up, but I appreciate you coming on. His signal's breaking up, but I will say, there comes a time, and I do appreciate the 81,000 likes on TikTok. You folks almost got me up to 100,000 where I like to be, but I do appreciate the support nonetheless. Same on YouTube. I definitely appreciate you folks that have been smashing the like button. Few super chats, absolutely a pleasure. Certainly thank you for the support. What I was going to say, though, is there always come a time while doing a live stream where yours truly, the host, comes to realize, maybe I've heard enough for today. That is the moment we're at. 1 p.m. Central, Monday through Friday is when we're here. Nevertheless, today, I've had enough on this show. I will talk to you guys probably on this weekend, but damn, I have never had a call like that, and I've had a lot of interesting calls. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for the 80-something thousand likes. It's been a pleasure. Your blood pressure went up on that one. I'm glad I wasn't being, I'm glad I didn't have a CKG or something on me on that one. That's a black man. That's a black man. Wow. You learn something new every day, folks. You really do. You learn something new every day. I see the comment. Someone said, I warned you. Angel said, I warned you. Kevin said, you were good. Okay. I got to go. Appreciate you folks tuning in. I'll see you on Monday. Well, for you YouTube folks, wow. Some of you are so blinded. Damn right about that. Only the Bible can get a black person to see slavery as a good thing. That's why I'm not very religious. Wow. I see somebody said I can't stop laughing. I got to go, folks. I've had enough. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to the program. Feel free to smash that like button on the way out. It's been a pleasure. It's your boy, Tim, the Handsome Liberal.